I've been waiting to make this video for a minute. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Timmy Tarantino, aka Timmy the Plug, serial entrepreneur, graphic designer, photographer, videographer. I help build brands, and we did it. 100 sales on my first month on Etsy. Now you may think that I'm an outlier, but I'm really not. And I'm gonna show you that today, that everything I did, you can do too and apply, so then you can get your first 100 sales on Etsy, maybe even inside a month. I wanna jump right into it right now. Go ahead and roll the intro. Before we get started, I want you guys to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, because I'm gonna be giving you the best on all the Etsy information, side hustles, and different things like that to make you money and to help build your brand and get your revenue. So if you don't know what Etsy is, you're not alone. Shoot, I didn't even know what the hell Etsy was myself until I was actually looking online to find ways to get passive income, streams of income. Also, since I'm a graphic designer, I was looking up designs and inspiration for my artwork. And generally, when you look up artwork and things of that nature, at the very top of the screen, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff come up at the very top of the search on Google. And what that stuff is usually on Etsy. So by chance, I happened to actually click on that and I saw the Etsy shop, and then I actually started doing research on what Etsy was, because it was a different way to make passive income potentially. Because quite honestly, I didn't even know what the hell Etsy was. I didn't know this was a thing, but it is a real thing. So much so that I decided to pursue it myself. So today I'm gonna be giving you that story, exactly how I started, the journey from my very first sale to getting to my 100 sale, and how it happened and everything in between. Because me, I was searching for a way of passive income, and I put my all into it. So I believe that if you put your all into it too, and if you're looking for passive income, Etsy could be a great way to actually achieve that and potentially even replace your 9 to 5. So yeah, let's get started. So I made my account on December 19th, 2022, but I didn't actually start making stuff right then. The first couple days was strictly research. All I was doing was looking at the trends to see what was working for other stores, other shops, seeing what the actual items were, how people were making items, because I didn't know anything about the platform. So I had to learn and understand what game I was playing if I was going to play the game. And with that, we call that market research. I'm going to actually be dropping a video on market research that will probably be the next video, and I may even drop it today and have a double upload, because market research is the most critical key to success on Etsy, I believe. And I think that's almost with any online e-commerce platform. You have to do your research in order to be successful, and that's the number one thing. Then after I did my research, I had to make all of my products, because I am selling digital items on Etsy. So my store is selling digital items. There's other forms of stuff like drop shipping or print on demand, which I will be talking about on this channel as well, because I do plan on starting another Etsy shop, since this Etsy shop is already generating revenue and doing its thing on its own. But once again, my shop specifically sells digital items to businesses and a specific type of customer. Then after I had all of my products made to the T and everything going good on how I wanted it, I started making postings. Now, even though I made the postings, I didn't actually put them out yet. I just started making the listings so I can post them on my shop and they can go live and start selling. Then on December 28th, I officially opened my shop. It was about 6 o'clock in the morning, because I had been spending hours and hours of research and listings and posting. It is a beast having to go through all of that. That's the one thing I don't like about the listing process initially, is that you have to actually list everything, get it how you need it to go, and actually put it together. But once you put it together the first time, it's a lot easier for the second times, especially if you have similar items. But initially, it can take a really long time. So I was up day and night, and around 6 o'clock I got done, and that's when I posted my page officially on December 28th. So boom, I had already told my friends and family that I was going to be actually opening my shop, and those are some of my first customers. I needed them to actually do market research and test the products and see if everything was working, and just generally give me a feel on how everything was, which is very key and critical, because you don't want to have a listing that you put out and then, you know, it's messing up, or, you know, something happens and now you have a bad customer experience. And that's a major key, by the way. I had them genuinely buy these products and they were interested in them, so they could see exactly how these products and items work. So then once they get it, I can know exactly what to do for my customers. So product testing is huge too, which I don't see a lot of people talking about inside of their videos. And I do know that Etsy has a policy that you're not supposed to have people buying your things simply to leave reviews. However, if it's a genuine sale and people are genuinely wanting to help you and interested, there's nothing wrong with that, because those will be some of your very first reviews, and that's what I had for my shop. So I do know that that's a big thing, because if you have a shop with no reviews, you're generally not buying from that shop. So yeah, those are my first 3 sales. And after that, I took a nap because it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I had been up for a couple of days because I was doing all of my research. And before I went to sleep, I went ahead and I actually turned on Etsy ads for a whopping $1. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to test the water to see exactly what the Etsy ads would do. So I set my Etsy ads at $1 and I went to sleep. So boom, I woke up at about 1 o'clock because I was really wired in. So I really wasn't getting a lot of sleep because I really wanted my shop to succeed. And when I woke up, I had no sales. Bruh. But it was okay because I'm excited and I want to have that energy and put it into my shop. It just was a fun experience. I just went back to designing. I just went back to doing product research. And then I also wanted to post a couple more listings. As I'm doing all of that, I got a ding on my phone. It was an email and it was a sale, but I didn't recognize the name, which means I had officially gotten my very first sale on Etsy. You don't understand how happy I was for $1. Because the item that sold was only $1, but I have never had a better dollar in my life. I was so excited. I called my mom and everything. It was just crazy. I can't wait for you guys to have that feeling when you put in all of that work and you get that very first sale. There's nothing like it. And the crazy part about it is it was even an item that I didn't think would have any sales. It was a very off-brand item that I just didn't think would have sales like that because it was a color scheme I didn't think would sell, but it was the very first one that somebody officially bought. I didn't get any other sales for the day except way later that night, right before I went to sleep. I got one more sale before I went to sleep. So the very first day of my shop, I had officially 2 real sales and 3 sales from people that I knew. Now the second day is a really fun day because I actually got my very first review, which was a 5-star review from a real customer. And so that was exciting as well to know that the work that I had put in, people were actually enjoying it, and I did get a quality 5-star review from a customer I did not know at all. So I was thankful for that review a lot, because the more reviews and 5 stars you're getting, the better your shop looks to potential customers. Fast forward, the third day, I only got 1 sale on the third day. However, that's the day that I actually got done with all of my high ticket items. These high ticket items will be key to generating way more revenue than I was generating before, because in my niche and in my market, it's not really a high level of revenue that you're going to be making, at least in my niche, from these digital products. It's more of a quantity game. So you want to make sure you have a lot of listings and do a lot of numbers to make sure that your money goes up. But it is a field that I'm very familiar with and a type of product that I'm very familiar with. So it's easy for me to do, and that's why I'm doing that product and not something else. That is the reason why I will be starting another Etsy store, which I'll give you guys a little bit more insight on, that print-on-demand store. So boom, that kind of wraps up my first week. And I had about 18 sales. I had about 18 sales in my first week. However, I started in the middle of the week, so I kind of considered it a throwaway week slightly, simply because it was the end of the month. So I didn't know if I would use that for the challenge, but I did keep it in mind. So December 28th is when I started the shop. After that first week, I actually took a loss in my revenue. My field doesn't have a high margin of error as far as profits and margins and things like that. The next day, I sold my first high ticket item, which I was really excited about as well. And even better, I got my largest order to date. Somebody ordered 10 items from my store. It was a blessing. It was amazing. I knew I was on to something and things were going good. Over the next couple of days, I got at least 1 sale a day. However, my high ticket items weren't selling as well as I would have liked them to sell. It's not because of the ads, because the ads weren't really doing much for my page. They were getting favorited, they just weren't getting bought. I didn't really know what was going on. Obviously, I'm new to Etsy, so I didn't know how to handle that. So I didn't know exactly what to do. However, I just stayed the course. With that, I decided to turn off my Etsy ads. It just wasn't worth it, in my opinion, as far as looking at my analytics and seeing the type of return it was getting. I feel like I was generating enough interest without the ads for my store in particularly. It may be different for other people, but for my store in particularly, it just wasn't worth it. So boom, January 12th, I only had one sale, but it was a very special sale because it was my sister. Me and my sister, I don't get to see her often. She stays all the way in California. She's actually a YouTuber as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug her channel here. When she bought an item from my shop to help her YouTube grow, and it just was really exciting to have her buy that and see value in what I was doing, because she's one of those type of people that she's not going to get something from you if she doesn't really like the product or want it. For her to use my stuff on her YouTube was a really special moment. So January 12th, that was a really good day. And once again, it was my only sale that day. So boom, moving forward, my high ticket items started to get a lot more sales, and one high ticket item in particular was getting bought regularly. Come to find out, I'm pretty sure that it was on the front page of Etsy. That's why people were buying it, not only because it was on the front page, it had a good price point, and it had great presentation. We'll talk about more of these things that you'll need to actually be successful inside of your Etsy journey in another video. I told you, I'm the plug. That's why I have the plug here, because I want to get you guys getting money, getting revenue, and having a successful shop just like me. But with all that being said, my sales were starting to slow down. I wasn't getting as many multi-day sales as I was before. I am grateful because every single day I got a sale, but I wasn't getting multiple sales a day, which would actually hinder me from getting to this 100 sale goal that I had for this month. After I started getting into it, I did the projections and I felt like I had a real shot to get 100 sales. But January 20th was the first day that I went without a sale. So boom, by week 3, I was sitting at like 78 sales in total, somewhere around there. And I knew if I was gonna make a push, I was gonna have to do something big. Valentine's Day was coming up, and I seen a lot of other shops, they were making listings for Valentine's Day, so I knew it was time for me to do the same. I was actually kind of late on that. However, better late than never. I went to the lab and I cooked up a couple of things inside there to put out and put listings for Valentine's Day. Also, if I was gonna make this push, although it wasn't as beneficial as I would like, I was gonna have to turn back on those Etsy ads. Just any little boost I could get to that 100 sales. So boom, listings are done. Made sure the Etsy ads were on. It was go time. It's time to get to those 100 sales. All we gotta do is, wait, what? So January 21st, my shop got suspended. Have no clue how it got suspended. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I know that it had to be some type of mistake. Maybe it was because I was getting so many sales. Maybe there was something wrong with one of my ads that I had just posted. I don't know what it was. All I know is that I was suspended and I didn't know what to do. So obviously I did my research, got on YouTube, checked out a couple of videos, searched on Google. I actually saw that this is a common thing that happens with Etsy. They suspend shops all the time, and some people don't even get their store back. As you can imagine, I was very worried about what was going to happen to me and what was going to happen to my store. The bad part is I really didn't even have a lot of time to check on my store and get my store reinstated, because I do photography, graphic design, and videography, and I had clients, so I didn't have as much time to do what I needed to do with my Etsy store. So after doing my research, the next day, January 22nd, I actually put in an appeal for my suspension. Now, going off of the internet and YouTube and different stuff, it was told that it could take weeks, months, sometimes you may not even get it back. But I typed up my email, I sent it off to support, and I just prayed for the best. Good news, January 24th, a couple days later, about 3 days later, I got my store back later on that night. It was really exciting. A lot of people don't have that happen that quickly. It had to be in the cards for me to get mine back. Once again, I knew I didn't do anything wrong. So that suspension, I don't know where it came from, but it was definitely a scary moment in the journey. But we got to get back to this 100 sales. And even the first night back that I was on, January 24th, I got one sale. At this point, going forward, I lost about 4 days on my journey to this 100 sales. So therefore, I added 4 days on to the challenge. Initially, I was going to do it the 20th of this month, which is January. However, I went ahead and extended it to the 31st of January, so then I can have an official amount of time to actually get this 100 sales. The Etsy ads that I put on, I actually put up my ads to $5, which previously I'd only done $1 or $2 generally, just so I can have a little bit there and get some revenue. But I just wanted to be aggressive and keep it at $5. January 25th, I had one sale. January 26th, I had 2 sales, putting me around 80 sales for the whole challenge. That just wasn't going to get it done. January 27th, I had 4 sales, which is really good. However, I did decide to turn back off my Etsy ads because looking at the analytics, it just wasn't helping and conducing to me getting more sales on Etsy. Also, it really didn't make sense to have it on because I was about 16 sales away from my goal with only 4 days left, and it's not looking like I'm gonna hit it. January 28th comes along. I got 3 sales on January 28th, putting me roughly around 11 to go based on where I was at that time, which is good, but it probably wasn't gonna get me to 100 because going forward, I was gonna need either 3 or 4 sales for the next 4 days to get me to 100 sales. January 29th, I had 3 sales that day. So at this rate, it's up in the air if I'm gonna get to 100 because once again, we need 3 or 4 every single day to make that happen. I woke up in the morning, checked my phone, and I had 2 sales. Good day so far. I already know what type of time we're on, and I know that I gotta get these sales to get to the 100. Right after that, I got another sale early in the morning. That was around 11 a.m. And then right after that, I got another sale right after that at about 12. So I'm on a good pace. I've gotten 4 sales in total. Then I go out, do a couple of consultations with my clients, and boom, 3 p.m. I get a ding on my phone. It's an email. I got another sale. The rest of the day was super quiet up until about 11 something at night. I got another sale right then, putting me at 99 sales. I did it. I got my 100 sale. All the hard work had paid off. All the long nights, all the listings, everything that I put into it accumulated to this moment, and I got my 100 sale. Also, I ended up getting 7 sales that day, which at that time was actually the biggest day that I've had since all the way back on December 30th, which is crazy because it was January 30th now, and it happened on the same exact day. So now that we've already beat our challenge, the last day of the challenge, which is one of my biggest days since all the way back then in the prior day, which is crazy because now I'm starting to get a crazy amount of sales. Altogether, I ended the challenge with about 104 total sales. A couple of major things that I want to touch on real quick. I noticed that towards the end of the month, that's when you start getting more sales. It's generally always picking up. Those are always my highest, busiest days, which I would think would be the opposite because, you know, rent and different things that are due, but it's always my bigger days for me. During the middle of the month, it gets wildly inconsistent. You'll have good days, you'll have bad days. You really don't know what you're going to get. Maybe it's the time of year that we're in, but I generally see that in the middle of the month, that's when I start not seeing as many sales. Also, the turning point in this whole thing, when I got my shop back, I feel like it broke my momentum on Etsy, and I feel like Etsy is a thing about momentum. I was getting favorited and a lot of listings that were actually doing well, and it took a while for that to build back up and start accumulating and those sales push through. Because if you don't know, Etsy, how it runs is the more likes you get, the more favorites you get, the more interaction you get, just like any social media, they're gonna push that up further than the other listings. So when my shop got suspended, it actually halted that and messed it up for me. So it took a while for that to kick back into gear. Another thing that helped me once I got my shop back, I had just made those Valentine's listings, but that wasn't the biggest thing that pushed me over the edge. I really actually made a bundle, a Valentine's Day bundle. This bundle was my highest seller. So once I got my shop back, the day after that is when I put out this Valentine's Day bundle. It was so successful because there was nothing else like it at that price point. I had the best quality and the best value at that time, and that's the one that kept selling over and over again. That means that it was damn near a no-brainer. So sometimes a special product is all you need to start pushing you over the edge. So the last thing I want to give you guys, if you look at Etsy as a formula and an algorithm, which is all it is, it can be very simple if you make it. Have the right SEO or search engine optimization so your customers can find those products, and make sure you have attractive listings and an attractive shop. So then that way, once they find it, they click it. Once they click it, they love it. And once they love it, they buy it. Please like this video and subscribe because we are going on a journey, and I'm going to be looking forward to seeing you guys' journey as well. Ask me any questions, concerns you have inside the comments below. Make sure you check out these other videos. I don't know where they're at, but they're going to be here so that you can keep climbing in your Etsy journey. Once again, I'm Timmy the Plug. Later, Street Scholars.